Alright, what is going on YouTube? Welcome to RecoN versus DeMusliM here with the round of 16th of SteelSeries Prime Cup, $20,000 prize pool on the line. You see Mongols, French, Chinese, Abbasids will be the civilizations for RecoN. DeMusliM has Rus, English, Chinese, and French. The home maps, I'll have to check that, will be Hillandale for DeMusliM and... Never mind, they messed up the communications. It's Altai for DeMusliM and Lipany for RecoN. Now this set started some time ago, so we will probably try to catch up over here simply because there are a lot of sets going on parallel and there are some other interesting ones. So I don't want to spend a lot of time in Dark Age unless absolutely necessary. So we will be doing a bit of a speed throwing over here because we are behind by about 10-15 minutes with this set. But it's nice to watch it right from the beginning, and we'll just accelerate Dark Ages to catch up with it. So on the right side, we do have RecoN playing as the Blue Mongols. On the left side, it is going to be English for DeMusliM in red. Going on with the standard English build order of sending villagers to gold. Other side, pretty standard stuff as well for RecoN going for the Ovu. And the first question is, how aggressive RecoN is going to be in Dark Age? He could think about going for scouts, harassing that gold mine, going for spearmen, doing the same. But what I would think here for RecoN is just going for a fast feudal into like a double archer range, double training ability over here. Is there no Delhi in this tournament? You can pick Delhi if you want, but it's only a best of 3, so if you lose with Delhi, which is a possibility, especially because I don't think that Danube River is in the map pool, or no one is picking it. Yeah, there is no Danube River on the map pool, so there is absolutely no point picking the Delhi. So, looking at DeMusliM, he's already on the way to Feudal Age. I don't know much about him, but he seems to have a fairly big fan base. He's regularly streaming on Twitch, and he's got a fairly big audience as well. He's from the UK, whereas on the other side, RecoN has been a participant in Age of Empires 4 alpha tests for a long time, so he's very experienced with the game. I think he's actually one of the sleeper talents currently. He's actually the practice partner of Mista, so if Mista plays well, that's part of the reason why, or like, if Mista plays well, that can partly be attributed to the practice games with RecoN. With this being said, Muslim is getting his council hall up in a moment, whereas on the other side, deer stones coming in as you would expect. Those deer stones might actually move to a more convenient location somewhere around over here, so they can expand that YAM network in front of your base. Okay, so people are saying that Muslim is from StarCraft 2. I can see that a lot of people are coming out from StarCraft over here, and it's always nice to see. We got longbows popping out for him. Other side, we do have... looks like it's an archer range, so indeed it's going to be double training archers. Why does cast speed up? It's because there's a lot of sets going on at the same time. We're behind this one, and Dark Age is not something that you're going to have a lot of action, so might as well sort of skip some time over here, catch up, and that allows me to show you more sets, right? So, like, obviously, once we have some fights going on, we can just slow stuff down. But many people have been asking the Hera set as well, and I'm also interested in that. So, obviously, there are some trade-offs over here. I don't think there's anything that justifies going at one-time speed right now, simply because, aside from getting some longbows out here for DeMusliM, there's really nothing happening at all. Meanwhile, on the other side, as I said, it's a single archer range, double archer production, and we also have a pasture close to the Ovu. That's an interesting approach from RecoN. So he's gonna get the sheep produced a little faster, I believe. That's going to help with his early food economy. So far, DeMusliM has been very passive with those longbows, so he's just playing a defensive game, but now going for a blacksmith, and the question is, attack upgrade or siege? He's going for siege right now. Khan still just trying to keep track of DeMusliM's forces. There's a defensive tower up on the gold of RecoN, so there is no way to flank that one. And looks like now we're gonna have DeMusliM moving up. Simultaneously, RecoN tried to move up as well with the deer stones, and he's going to have to cancel that. He's gonna have to drop it all the way back here. Longbows now crawling up over here. How many archers do we have for RecoN? A fairly sizable force, and even though the range is bigger on those longbows for DeMusliM, when you have such a big mobility advantage with your archers using the deer stones, you can just close that distance and jump on those longbows very, very easily. That's, I think, what the plan is for RecoN right now. We're talking about 16 archers versus 18 longbowmen. So the longbows, they have 70 HP, 7 base attack with 7 range. Whereas on the other side, it's only 5 base attack with the same HP, but 5 tiles range. So shorter range, smaller attack. That actually makes this a difficult fight for RecoN, but he has the Khan's attack speed arrow in exchange. Obviously for DeMusliM, the priority is taking down that Khan at the beginning. Snipe that with the longbows. Arrow slits already in for that tower for RecoN, so he doesn't even need to garrison it to take some shots on those longbows. Defensive campfires coming in for DeMusliM to heal those injured longbows. Looks like RecoN behind this one is banking up quite a lot of food. Remember, he's got a very well streamlined pasture economy over here. This is not something that you have seen a lot. In fact, this is the first time I'm seeing this build here. So the idea is that you're not ferrying in the air, so you need a lot of sheep to work with. But your eco is very, very compact this way. And normally the sheep take, I think, 2 minutes to train. And it's only 1.5 minutes on a pasture that's in the influence radius of the Ovu. So this way, it's got a much better streamlined production of sheep, and you see the sheep are just slowly walking towards his town center. So instead of making them close to the TC, he's just going to make them close to the Ovu and just keep sending them all the way back. This actually helps quite a lot with the early food economy because you don't have to invest into scouts and getting the professional scouts upgrade. And you don't have to invest into that many pastures either because you have a faster training rate on those pastures out there. It's a new thing to me as well. Not something that I've seen a lot before, so seems like RecoN knew about this one. But I'm like 95% sure that the pastures take 2 minutes to train a sheep, and it's only 1.5 over here, so I'm fairly certain that's an Ovu buff we are seeing over here. Longbows, it's actually not even 1.5 minutes, it's only 1:20, so it's even faster. Longbows are now tempted to try and harass those villagers, so RecoN has to be careful. Garrisons the TC though, and he takes down 2 longbowmen out here. Still playing very, very patiently with those archers. Was waiting for the attack and defense upgrades to come in. And he probably wants to force a decisive engagement over here. Might even try to wait until Castle Age, as both players are getting close to Castle. Looks like the longbows will now try to take this fight. As I said, when you're using the archers, you have to use that yam speed to close distance. Otherwise, the longbows will just pick you apart from a distance. For the Muslim, the key thing would be to snipe that Khan down, although the Khan already managed to pop out the buff arrow. And the problem here right now for RecoN is that not only does he have a shorter range, he also has a lower base attack. So because of that, those longbowmen will be able to take much more advantageous fights over here. Castle Age on the way for RecoN over here. For the Muslim, he's not far away either. I think it has to be men-at-arms at this point for RecoN, although Lancers could also work, and it looks like he's thinking in Lancers for now. The question is, what is the Muslim gonna go for? Because this is where the English can fall off a massive cliff. Those longbows are very powerful in Feudal Age, but once you get some Lancers on the field, once you get some men-at-arms on the field, suddenly they start to lose efficiency. So, Castle Age is coming in with the step redoubt, as you would expect. The Gur being relocated probably to the Wood line. You could even relocate it on the berries and take the berries for yourself. Double Stable Knights will come in soon. You already have the defense upgrade on your units for the Pierce Armor, so that's not something that you have to deal with. Meanwhile, for the Muslim, since he's got the map control, he's just going to take all the huntables out here. That's a nice idea. He's grabbing Wheelbarrow as we speak. Gur setting up on that wood line out here. You could actually justify moving this Gur over here and just getting some lumberjacking done on this side as well. So, Lancers it is. Indeed, here they come. Whereas on the other side, the Muslim is halfway up. He's going up with the King's Palace. So from this point on, he can start to build an economy advantage because he's going to be 2 town centers as opposed to 1 from his opponent. Archers hoping to loop around here, and this could be a nice find for RecoN. Quite a lot of exposed villagers out here, and you see, if we just look at the POV of RecoN, he knows exactly those villas are out there. Now, it's actually a problem that your Khan automatically attacks, because this notifies the Muslim that your Khan is there, which also pretty much tells the Muslim that, hey, I'm coming for your vills. So if this was just a regular scout that can't attack automatically, at least it needs to close distance in melee, then the Muslim might not have spotted this. Look at how clever RecoN is, by the way. He's using that... what is that? It's not a vulture. It's a hawk. Is it the hawk? Falcon. He's using the falcon to check out where those longbows are coming from, and he's flanking around with those archers. Such a clever move, and it looks like the Muslim didn't see it coming. That's going to be a lot of dead villagers. That is huge. That is absolutely huge out there. Cleverly outsmarting his opponent over here with the falcon, seeing where those longbows are, and then just looping all the way around, hitting those hunters. It's only 2 villagers down though, and now those archers could get cleaned up, so I feel like the Muslim has lost way less than he should have had over there. So he was very, very lucky to be able to pull the majority of the villagers away out there. Meanwhile, we have a pretty sizable force of lancers being assembled though, and we still haven't seen a single spearman, a single crossbowman coming out for the Muslim. Vo's coming up, that's going to help quite a bit when it comes to negating that mobility disadvantage that he has, but we already have the deer stones coming forward, and I feel like once we get to like 10-15 lancers over here for RecoN, he could start moving up, and that could be devastating because he can just destroy all those longbows out here. Crossbows now out for the Muslim. He needs an archer range for that. He can train them on the council hall, but now that he's got crossbows out, crossbows and the longbows together should be able to hold this position, and then it's just a 2-town center boom from now on. We got some towers coming all the way around here for RecoN, for map control, and of course expanding that YEM network as the crossbows and longbows are slowly crawling up. For RecoN, he's got a fairly sizable force of lancers, but it's only lancers. If there were a couple of horsemen here, I would be a little bit more satisfied with his army, because that would help a lot against those crossbows. But currently, it is only lancers, so they would die to the crossbows quite easily. No siege workshop for mangonels whatsoever. Instead, we do have a prayer tent for RecoN, so he's gonna start popping out some shamans, start to get some gold from those relics. Looking at the relic positions, those are not really great for RecoN. Most of them are on the south and could easily be denied by those crossbows and longbows, and the deer stones actually has to escape. Now being set up in the middle of the map, already at half HP it is, so you have to be careful not to lose it. And you see that the Muslim is crawling up with the outposts out here, and with that he's going to keep expanding the network of castles bonus, so his attack rate boost is going to be there for him throughout the map. RecoN is playing very, very passive over here right now, but I feel like the problem that you're facing is that you can't afford to play passive here. We have 53 villagers for him, 62 already for the Muslim, so we're already talking about the 10 villagers lead, and now the farming eco for the English is also kicking in, so RecoN can just play 1 TC mass the Lancers slowly type build, because his opponent is gonna carve out a massive eco advantage. At this point, the Muslim is at 110 population with 47 army. His opponent has half the army only, 23 with 54 villagers. This is looking pretty grim for RecoN, I'm not gonna lie. Looks like we're gonna have the longbows and the crossbows pushing up, and you see, the Muslim isn't messing around. This is one of the things that the English can do so well. With the network of castles bonus and that big ball of longbowmen, you can crawl up, play aggressive, but behind that use that second town center, the King's Palace, to also build an economy advantage for yourself. So you have a fairly sizable military to control the map with, and you also have a very, very good boom behind that one. That's the nice combination that the English have over here. By the way, the deer stones is slowly being burnt down, but there's a repair villager out here, so no disaster over there. I love this move from the Muslim. This longbowman had the worst day of his life, but he gave himself for the cause. One longbowman was sent in to check out what his opponent is up to. That's a clever thing to do. Even if you lose your scout, information is extremely valuable. Send in one longbowman and see what your opponent is up to. And now the Muslim knows exactly he's up against a lot of lancers, so he's gonna need a lot more crossbows here. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pulling back his forces. Where did all those archers go? Yeah, he pulled back everything. He probably knows he needs a lot more crossbowmen right now. Smart idea, and if you consider the fact that he's playing 2 town centers as opposed to 1, that's probably the right thing to do. Obviously, behind this one, RecoN is going to grab some sacred sites, and he's also gonna have some relics for him. He already has 2 collected, but By the time he's going to collect all those relics, his opponent is going to have a decisive villager lead, and the villager advantage plus the English farming economy here will be more than enough to compensate for that relic deficit, at least short term. So 59 villagers versus 73 is what we're talking about. You see, food count is quite similar. DeMusliM has a much bigger gold income. Obviously, gold income is pretty enormous for RecoN, but that's because he's mining gold a lot here with the step redoubt. And of course, he's got 2 relics working for him as well. Now it's free, plus a sacred site. Now, the danger here for DeMusliM is mangonels. And that's something that we already have one of for RecoN. It is now getting a springald out. 2 or 3 mangonels would just disintegrate this entire army, because one thing that this army doesn't have is mobility. We're seeing some more spearmen being mixed in. DeMusliM is playing quite passive over here, and RecoN could start punishing that by taking additional sacred sites. He's actually securing the sacred sites with towers, so I'm starting to feel like we're going to see RecoN moving in for all 3 sacred sites, forcing his opponent to make a move. Looks like the Lancers are now moving up, as RecoN is like, okay, I'm gonna yoink that relic out here. That's a massive amount of Lancers. Now, the key thing here is that you can't afford to lose your crossbows early on, so you need to absorb that charge with your longbowmen and just make sure that the crossbows stay alive as long as possible. Even better it is if you absorb that charge with your spearmen. DeMusliM, seeing the Lancers charge in, he's bracing his spearmen. I think not all spearmen were braced though. These are veteran spearmen ready to fight though. Quite a lot of crossbows firing from the middle of the pack though. They could be pulled back a tiny bit. As I said, you want to keep those crossbows alive. Longbows are expendable because they're not really good against the Lancers, but the crossbows are the difference makers in this battle. Nice choke point to fight in over here for DeMusliM, and he's just disintegrating his opponent's forces. Without mangonel support, this is not going to be possible for RecoN. And he not only just lost like 15-20 knights, which is like a massive amount of resources going down the drain, he's still behind in eco, 84 villagers to 65. If you look at the income per minute, still rather even thanks to the sacred sites and the relics for RecoN, but losing all those Lancers definitely hurts. Moving up with the spearmen and the crossbows is now DeMusliM, and now I feel like RecoN needs 1 or 2 big mangonel shots. Otherwise, this is potentially a game that's spiraling out of control, because DeMusliM has a very, very safe economy over here. I love these walls that prevent the knights from coming into raids. Now it's staggered formation as well for your archers, so it's going to be difficult for those mangonels to get some shots in. Interesting decision to see a mangonel here from DeMusliM, not something that he necessarily needs against Lancers here. Sacred Site's now under the control of RecoN though, and we do have 4 relics for him as well, so that's a ton of gold income. Sacred Site countdown now starting at 21:41, so we will need DeMusliM to neutralize at least one of those sacred sites in the next 10 minutes of the game. The cutoff is going to be about 31 minutes 30 seconds. The bigger thing here though is that gold income for RecoN. That's getting concerning for DeMusliM, because even though he's got like a 23 villagers lead, 5 relics plus 3 sacred sites is a ton of gold income for RecoN. Just for reference, RecoN is 18 on gold, but he's got like 1300, 1400 gold per minute income. Looks like the tower will be burned down over here. That's a nice little touch here from DeMusliM, making sure that his gold miners are not going to be harassed by a tower that's garrisoned or has arrow slits on it. And it looks like DeMusliM is just going to go full walls. Smart idea, I think, because that limits the chances of your opponent to raid you. You still will have to neutralize one of those sacred sites though. Clock is ticking. You don't have to rush this. There is going to be 2 men-at-arms moving north. There is an outpost coming in with a spring Odin placement. I think you just run past that tower, neutralize the sacred site, and force a fight in the middle. Mangonel going for the deer stones. Love the tower from DeMusliM. He understands that, okay, if the tower goes up, I'm gonna have the network of castles bonus working for me, and that could be massive. You're also seeing some men-at-arms hit the field. Those will be great as an arrow sponge against those archers. But we got 3 men-at-arms here for RecoN. So you gotta be careful, because 3 mangonels will be extremely difficult to micro against. So I'm actually curious if DeMusliM sees those. He sees the mangonels. He should know. He should know that there's 3 mangonels out here. His appropriate response would be springolds. Just add 5 springolds to this one, and you will be able to snipe down the mangonels. Still 8 minutes remaining to neutralize the sacred site. This won't be neutralized over here because the Lancer is swooping to kill the man-at-arms. The Deer Stones, however, does get destroyed. So, no YAM network in the middle of the map, mangonels getting ready to fight. Staggered formation is in for that infantry. Look at this, DeMusliM, 100 villagers, 100 military, perfectly balanced as all things should be, and we are in for a big fight right now. Lancers, quite sizable in numbers. Mangonels getting some nice hits in here, and flanking maneuver coming in from RecoN here. I feel like the numbers are good here for DeMusliM, but his army is a little scattered, so his individual groups of units are getting isolated from each other. It's not like his army is really fighting together with all that separation between the units. Mangonel is also helping a lot here for RecoN, and it looks like he's winning this battle over here quite a bit. Not enough crossbowmen potentially. We're talking about only 15 crossbows against that many Lancers. Although now the Lancer numbers are disappearing from the battlefield, and we got some big Mangonel hits in here. Those Mangonel hits from DeMusliM on top of those archers are just enormous. He already got one in, a second one comes in, and that is something that could decide the outcome of this battle, because without archers it's gonna be difficult to deal with all those crossbow. A third Mangonel shot comes in as well, and maybe a fourth one even. That Mangonel is the hero of this battle for DeMusliM, because without that he probably would have lost it. He still could use a couple of Springboards here to deal with those Mangonels, but now his opponent's army is just lacking numbers. This might be the time to go in for the kill. We also have a tower up behind this wood line to expand that network of castles bonus even further, and it very much seems like DeMusliM is ready to take down his opponent. 107 villagers with 50 army for him. His opponent is at 30 army still though, so you gotta be careful not to overextend, because now RecoN's got his own YAM network working here, got some Springboards going. Springboards will focus down the Mangonel, and the Lancer numbers are once again increasing. Behind this one, keep in mind that the countdown on the sacred sites is still going on, and we're only 6 minutes away from there. RecoN on the way to Imperial Age with the White Stupa, I believe. Okay. He's got 5 relics working for him. So Mista, what am I talking? RecoN is not ready to give up on this yet. And I feel like this could be a problem for DeMusliM. He's not far away from Imperial Age either, and if he stops making longbows for some time, he could get up quite fast. But first of all, he needs to neutralize the sacred site, because otherwise, his opponent is gonna have a massive amount of gold income from free sacred sites, plus that countdown is still going on. Looks like DeMusliM is not going into Imperial Age though. He spent most of his food on army, I do believe. Indeed, he's got men-at-arms queued up, crossbows queued up. He's nowhere close to Imperial. So what's the play here with Imperial Age for RecoN? I guess it's just elite archers with elite lancers. Now it looks like the archers and spearmen are moving up. They will neutralize the sacred site. I don't think that RecoN can stop this, and I don't think that RecoN should bother stopping this. Instead, he launches a counterattack with lancers though, and even though most of the base here for DeMusliM is walled, this raid could still do a lot of damage because the front is open. So lancers run past, and even just a couple of Mangonels being taken down here could be massive. Muslim pulling in the villagers to try and repair, but that's not gonna work out. And these Lancers are gonna start finding some villagers. Currently it's 114 versus 78 villagers, so massive villager lead for DeMusliM, but that could soon change. Because if we're losing 20 villagers here for DeMusliM, that could be just devastating for him. His army is still extremely scary. We're talking about 81 army, men-at-arms, crossbows, archers. But you see, he's pursuing those knights and he hasn't reacted to all those Lancers yet, and this could be a disaster. This could be a disaster. We were at 114 villagers just a minute ago, and that is all his gold miners getting absolutely slaughtered. He lost like 20 villagers in here. And given the fact that his opponent is Imperial Age, this could be a game-losing moment. Because now he's reacting, but it's a little too late. He's down to 89 vills. RecoN is at 80. All that villager advantage is gone, and keep in mind that RecoN is sitting on 5 relics and 2 sacred sites. So DeMusliM needed that 30 villagers lead to even compensate for all those relics. And now, his opponent is Imperial Age. I would expect Elite Lancers to come in soon, alongside the Elite Archers. There's the Elite Lancer upgrade coming in. We could see some Bombards. And now, it's just a tough matchup for DeMusliM. He still has a sizable force, but once Elite Lancers come in, supported by Elite Archers, that's going to be difficult to stop. You now have Elite Mangonel trying to pop out, get some shots in. We also have some Men-at-Arms join the party, supported by Springolds and Mangonels. But at this point, RecoN just needs to leverage the fact that he's in Imperial Age, and he just needs to use the better units he has in Imp. Here come the man-at-arms, they're trying to go for the siege. But I think that the problem here for the Muslim is that the siege is not the main concern. The Lancers are, so sure enough you take down the Springolds and the Mangonels, but you sacrifice so many men-at-arms for this. Look at this. All the man-at-arms are going down to the Lancers. Now the Spearmen and man-at-arms do come in for a fight though, as now I think RecoN needs to reorganize a tiny bit, because that's still a sizable army here from the Muslim who is going full Castle Age as things stand. But once RecoN regroups, with the elite Imperial Age units that he has, I feel like he's gonna be able to carve out victory. Remember that, once again, we have 3 sacred sites for RecoN. So, if you look at that gold income, that's 1200 gold per minute with limited amount of villagers on gold. So, I feel like now with the 5 relics plus, of course, the sacred sites, that gold income advantage is starting to show on the battlefield. Now it's elite Lancers for RecoN. Army numbers, still 100 for the Muslim though. RecoN is only at 35 though. Castle Age this, Castle Age that. That's still a lot of crossbows with men-at-arms, and it's 100 army versus 35. Does it matter that you have a much better army when your opponent has just 3 times the numbers as you do, and the Bombards won't really be able to accomplish much over here? They will take down the Mangonels, but Mangonels were never really a danger here. I feel like what the Muslim needs now is the infantry siege upgrade. Make 2 or 3 rams, and that's it. Because I feel like now you can just steamroll the base of RecoN, and RecoN, even though he's an Imperial Agent, he's got 5 relics and 3 sacred sites under his control. He's just lacking numbers severely. You see, he's 91 population with 61 vills against a 200 pop Castle Age player, and it's just a flood of units now. Look at that trickle of units all the way across the map. I don't think that the Muslim needs to go imp here. He needs to just go full Castle Age, start making battering rams, and start knocking down those buildings. Because once you start taking down those production buildings, it's gonna be very, very difficult for RecoN to get there. Also, notice that these were the pastures initially close to the Ovu. Now those are obsolete because all those longbows are denying them. And at this point, 3 villagers only on food for RecoN. His entire food eco is getting overrun. I think the Muslim has this. The Muslim has this one. He's not even gonna need to siege down the opponent's base because his infantry flood is just so massive that he can run past the town center and just kill everything. For whatever reason, RecoN is going for Bombards instead of Mangonels. If he went for Mangonels, this would be a completely different scenario, because you could just take down the majority of those longbowmen with 1 or 2 good Mangonel shots. If you're the Muslim right now, you target that prayer tent. That's 5 relics in that prayer tent. You want to take it down as soon as possible, and I think that RecoN feels the blood in the water. Now, keep in mind that there is a sacred site countdown going on right now for RecoN. I'm not sure when it started. It's something like 27 minutes or so, and we don't have that countdown in the overlay because for whatever reason it's just telling us how many sacred sites one player has. But nonetheless, that might be the only hope here for RecoN. Hoping that he can keep the sacred sites under his control. Okay. That feels like that's gonna be a very, very sad gold mine over there for the Muslim. He's already lost a bunch of villagers to that first cavalry raid. There's another cavalry raid coming in here, and if there's any hope for RecoN, it's just smashing the entire economy of the Muslim. Look at the army of villagers with those English vills having the bows. They can actually start killing the opponent's eco, and we're actually seeing villager raids over here. I mean, it works because RecoN has 28 vills, and the Muslim doesn't really get bothered by losing a couple of vills. He's got a pretty decent amount of resources in the bank. If he loses vills, he's just gonna replace them with army. That's a pretty sizable force of Lancers, but that's everything that RecoN has. And behind this one, the prayer tent is going down, TC is going down. You can start knocking down those landmarks. The White Stupa, the Deer Stones is already gone, so you just look for the Step Redoubt that's all the way out here. Slowly but surely, those knights will get ground down. I mean, it's 162 population versus 43. Obviously, the Muslim is gonna lose a lot of villagers here, and that's not ideal, but for him, it's completely fine losing those villagers and trading it off to the knights, because as things stand, there is gonna be no chance for RecoN to replenish those forces. The White Stupa is going down. Towers will actually be able to clean up all these villagers over here with arrow slits and spring golden placements. But yeah, there's the White Stupa. The mosque is down. And with that, there's just absolutely nothing that RecoN can do to replenish his army. The countdown is still going on, by the way. So, theoretically speaking, If the Muslim doesn't take control over one sacred site for some more time, RecoN could win. But I think you just right-click that army into that sacred site and you win this game, pretty much. Yep, indeed, here it comes. And with that, the chances of RecoN will be non-existent. So it is 20 villagers, only 24 military, as opposed to one player that's like 93 army. The eco of the Muslim was also heavily battered though. So like, he was at 114 villagers some time ago, and he's now down to 64. So he has lost considerable eco numbers out here. It wasn't a perfect game from him, especially losing like 20 villas on that gold mine was a plain disaster. But you see he's just taking the sacred sites, and he's moving towards that step reduct. Because once you take it down, it should be landmark victory. I'm not even seeing RecoN building any of his landmarks or repairing any of those landmarks. So towers going down. You just need to take down the step reduct and you win the game automatically here for the Muslim sacred site. Now neutralized, so the countdown is gone. And now we're officially looking into a game with 156 population as 42. Looks like a market is coming up here for the Muslim. Interesting idea. Now you see it's full spearmen from him. So he knows exactly he's only up against lancers. Might as well go full spears. And for whatever reason, he's not going up or not going to close this game out by attacking that step reduct. Instead, takes the fight against the lancers. These are still elite lancers, which are Imperial Age units against Castle Age crossbows and longbows. But there's just no way for RecoN to replenish his numbers. He lost the 5 relics he had in that prayer tent, and he just doesn't have economy. You see, RecoN is sitting at 10 villagers. Just for reference. Under no circumstance are you gonna win a single game with 10 villagers and 21 army. So, like, I'm not even sure if RecoN can afford to repair his landmarks. I'm not sure why he's not calling it, because there's absolutely no hope for him. Even if he gets the relics back, it just takes so much time to reboom into this one. 5 relics is a lot, but it won't compensate for having, like, 8 villagers in this game. Yeah, this step reduct is gonna go down. I'm actually happy that it happens, because this way it's gonna be game over for RecoN, and he won't try further, because this game is just very much over. We got Statalko with the Prime sub, I appreciate it a lot, thank you so much, welcome. So, you see that step reduct is going down, and that's an automatic win there, because all the landmarks are gone, so it is GG. I honestly don't know why RecoN didn't resign. Yeah, he probably was just thinking about the next game, but it is what it is. Convincing win here from the Muslim. He's going to take game number 1. So that's a win with the English and a loss with the Mongols out there. As I said, we're a little behind in this series, so we should have game number 2 going on already. So basically no break, jumping into the next one. It's going to be RecoN's home map, and that is Lipany. Ooh, interesting civilization matchup. French versus the Rus. Once again, since we are still behind in this set, I am tempted to just do a bit of fast forwarding in Dark Age so that we have more time to cover other sets as well, sort of balance things out. Dark Age is always very, very similar here. We will have, on the right side, RecoN playing as the French in blue, and on the left side we have Mr. DeMusliM playing as the red with the Rus, and we got J. Robin. Thank you so much for a tier 3 sub, I appreciate it a whole lot. Thank you, thank you. That's a lot of support. Thank you for all of that. So, the Muslim coming in with the Rus, going for the hunt as you would expect. Copy-paste the same build order every single time, so nothing to see here. Pretty much, you already have the scout on the right side moving out. This hunt wasn't found by the Muslim, and neither did he find either of the hunts on the left side, so he's yet to start collecting bounty. That's actually a very, very underwhelming start for him. You see, it's 10 bounty after 2 minutes of gameplay. He just didn't find the hunt. It's very unlucky for him. He didn't even bump into any wolves. This is the first wolf he's luring in. Meanwhile, for RecoN, looks like he's playing with just one scout. So oftentimes when you're going up against the Rus with the French, you go for a second scout from your town center. You will be able to compensate for the villager deficit by having your faster training villagers. And it helps a lot that you can deny some bounty from your opponent. Looks like now that the Muslim has found all those patches of huntables and some wolves, he's gonna be happy with like 220 or so bounty. Might actually take down this wolf as well, which would be essential for that 250 bounty. Indeed, that wolf will go down, so 250 bounty is in. We do have the Golden Gate coming in for the Muslim, whereas on the other side, it's going to be the School of Cavalry. So here's the problem. The School of Cavalry is nice, and you can probably try to ferry in Deer. That's probably going to be the plan for RecoN. Indeed, he already has a mill up, so he's playing with a mill. That's a professional scout 100%. He will try to deny as much hunt as he can from his opponent, but DeMusliM actually has a very, very nice start over here. 305 gold from bounty is very, very good in a 1v1 matchup. Normally you want to get to that tier 2 bounty, so anything above that is extremely good. And he's going to play professional scouts as well. With the Rus, you can get professional scouts and a decent amount of scouts out low faster than other civilizations, so you're almost guaranteed to steal some hunt from your opponent, and that's exactly what you're seeing over here. DeMusliM even able to take this patch of huntables down. In the end, he closes the first part of the game with 375 bounty. That's insane. 375 bounty is enormous. It's actually one of the highest bounties I've seen in 1v1 Arabia. That's actually pretty good for even High View, a map that has a lot more wolves to work with. So RecoN didn't really have a good luck finding those huntables or taking them down. 400 bounty to start with is just absolutely bonkers. You see that professional scouts is in 30 seconds. We will have that in 40 seconds for RecoN. So he's just 10 seconds behind. Looks like DeMusliM is retreating though. So he might just give up on that patch of huntables, which is a little disappointing. He could have stolen that entire patch himself. Instead, RecoN will pick that up, and DeMusliM will take this one. So now the problem here for the French is that if you're just going for professional scouts, not a lot of army in Feudal Age, you would just be bringing this to Castle Age. The French can match the Castle Age timing of the Rus Fast Castle quite nicely. They will only have like a 1-minute deficit. But that still doesn't solve the problem of being able to deal with horse archers, or it doesn't solve the problem of being able to prevent your opponent picking up relics. Speaking of which, we have 2 relics rather close to the base of the Muslim, one on the right side that's also rather takeable, 2 close to RecoN's base, so I think that the Muslim should have no trouble picking up 3 relics or so. By the way, 450 bounty for the Muslim. That's crazy. That's absolutely unbelievable. That helps so much because the thing is that when it comes to this fast castle, your main bottleneck is this, the amount of transactions you can make on the Golden Gate. So the more bounty you get, the more gold you start with, so you have to make less and less transactions. So you see it's only 2 transactions required for the Muslim now. 1 more transaction that he gets right now and he has the gold. This is where that bounty really comes in, and this is why you're trying to deny that bounty as much as possible from the Rus, because you see that he can now sell 100 wood. He's not going to sell food, he's going to sell wood. And he's gonna have the gold for Fast Castle. Bounty is gold earned. Yes, the bounty is the exact same amount of gold you earned from killing the huntables. But the reason why it's displayed over here is because depending on how much you get, you also get levels of gathering grade. So despite that kind of wacky start, only having 10 bounty after 2 minutes, he's now up to 450. And you see, if he didn't have 450 bounty, only let's say 375, he wouldn't have the gold he needs right now to age up if he had 100 less bounty. So he would need to make 1 more transaction on that Golden Gate and he still doesn't have a ticket. So if he had 100 less bounty, 350, which is still a pretty decent amount of bounty, he would still be waiting for that Castle Age. Waiting, and he would be able to use it now. So his Castle Age would be delayed by at least 30-40 seconds just by having 350 bounty instead of 450. So that's the importance of that extra 100 that he was able to get. That's some very good timing for that fast castle. 7.5, 8 minutes. With that, Abbey of the Trinity is up, and we do have a decent amount of scouts here for RecoN, but what are they gonna accomplish? Like, this is 12 scouts. Congrats, but I mean, these are not really units that are combat capable. He wants to lame. RecoN is coming in to lame the hunt. This could work. Some of these scouts will die, but he's coming in to swoop up the hunt. Grand Theft Venison, as Turim would say, and indeed, here it goes. He's trying to pick up as many carcasses as he can, but there's a defensive tower garrison, and in the end, he gets away with, like, what? 4 carcasses. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's definitely worth it because you had a bunch of leftover scouts out there, and you see that the scouts are coming back to take the scouts down from RecoN. RecoN gets away with 4 carcasses. The problem for him is that he wasn't able to get the right clicks on all those other carcasses. He could have gotten like 9 or so. Is it a bad scenario right now for the Muslim? Not necessarily. I feel like he got what he wanted out of that patch of huntables. Not ideal, but he's now going up for the cav archers. He actually had such a huge castle age timing over here that he doesn't even have the archer ranges to produce cav archers with. Meanwhile, on the other side, though, you see that his opponent, RecoN, is nowhere close to castle age. RecoN is actually playing double OTCs. Now, this can work. I think Hera tried something against... who was it? I think Hera versus Kaposh. It was a show match between the two players. Hera tried something like that, going 2TC boom against the Rus. But the problem here is that the Rus will just secure the relics for themselves, and by the time your 2 center boom kicks in, the Rus will have such a huge amount of gold in the bank from the sacred sites and the relics that it's going to be very difficult to compensate for it. You need like 30 villagers advantage in order to compensate for 5 relics. So I feel like the Rus will be fine with your opponent going for a 2TC boom. Just go for the relics, secure the sacred sites, and force the French player to make a move. UTC is right now going on for RecoN. He's at 40 villagers, his opponent's at 35, so only 5 villagers difference, but of course 2 relics here helps a lot already for the Muslim. And he is coming in with relic number 3. He's gonna need a separate monastery for the last 2 relics, but I think he's gonna go for them. There is one over here, and then there's one over here on the right side that could be taken. We got triple range archers coming in though. So this is one of those scenarios where you might want to rethink your cav archer approach. Because one of the concerns that you could have is that the foot archers are very, very easy to mass, and they are fairly cost efficient against horse archers. So this is one of those scenarios where you might be tempted to start switching into knights, or at least mix in a couple of them. Gotta love how the Muslim took down the board, which pushes him over that 500 barrier of bounty. And that basically means that he's gonna have the 15% getter rate boost, and also his hunting cabins are getting boosted. So now that passive gold trickle rate of the hunting cabins also gets increased. So as things stand, if you look at the income per minute, RecoN, he has better villager count right now, but the Muslim still leads in pretty much all categories of resource income, overall better resources for our red player. And now it all comes down to using those cav archers, because in a straight up fight the archers might be able to take a good engagement. So what you want to do is split up your horse archers, try to hit the back of your opponent's base. This is a pretty compact base with 2 town centers protecting the front, so it's difficult to get anything past those and hit that gold mine. But at this point, as I said, key thing for the Muslim is just picking up all those relics and starting to neutralize those sacred sites. Move out and take the sacred site. That's exactly what we're seeing. That's going to force RecoN to make a move. RecoN is still feudal age, so his army isn't really capable of beating a castle age force right now. Currently 42 villagers for the Muslim, 55 for RecoN, so that villager lead is actually growing, and I love this move from the Muslim. That is just such a good idea. Such a good idea. Because he knows he's up against 2 town centers, he has a huge amount of gold income already, might as well go for second town center. You won't be able to completely catch up in terms of villager count, but that lead won't grow as fast for RecoN as he would hope it would. So you would just go for the sacred sites, still play the map control game, you already have the relics going for you, 5 relics already working, and you just go for that second town center, so that villager lead isn't going to be as enormous for RecoN as it could possibly be. The Muslim is up 1 game already, so RecoN could get eliminated here if he loses this game. RecoN now moving up with that feudal age force, still nowhere from castle age though, and that's a concern for him. Feudal age armies are nice, and now Muslim is going to see that there's a lot of archers in here, so he needs to start thinking about adding something against those archers. Should be just castle age knights, honestly. Even just 5 knights here would be decisive. Let's see if Muslim is going to make a reaction. Looks like it's pure cav archers. That's a way to potentially lose a game though against mass foot archers, so you gotta be careful. You want to start adding something that deals with archers. Men-at-Arms is an option technically, but you probably want to play knights. Looks like we currently have one sacred site only for the Muslim. The one on the south was neutralized by RecoN's knights. The Muslim currently sitting at nice and convenient 120. Actually, that's RecoN's population. Hold on. 93 pop only for the Muslim with 46 army. Bigger army right now for RecoN and 68 villagers as opposed to 48. So there's a 20 villager difference here. Still, if you look at the resource income, the Muslim has a pretty considerable gold advantage. Everything else is in the favor of RecoN though, so Muslim will need to start expanding that eco quite rapidly. I still think that RecoN needs to get up to Castle Age though, so the Muslim should be leading this one quite a bit, I think. Getting some nice hunting cabins out here. Would be nice to see some hunting cabins close to these woodlands, because those would give you a passive trickle of gold over the course of the game. But no stables to deal with the archers, and that's something that's a little concerning. RecoN has a hidden scout in this forest, I love that. Because this way, RecoN can spot that army coming forward and he can adjust his forces accordingly. You see that he spotted this army and he's going to start marching north soon. On the way to Castle Age he is with the Guild Hall. He's going to have Veteran Archer with the attack and defense upgrades coming in soon. Meanwhile, on the other side, let's talk about Blacksmith upgrades. Boyar's Fortitude is just now coming in for the Muslim. That's what he's opening with, giving 20 extra HP to all his cavalry. And then it's going to be followed up by the defense and the attack upgrade right now. Sacred Site being captured by not 1, not 2, but 3 warrior monks over here. So that's 2 Sacred Sites right now. We got 1 scout being sent in to neutralize this one. Castle Age is in for Mr. RecoN, however. So now he's got a fairly sizable force of archers, and 43 archers should win a fight against 35 cav archers. At least they will be cost efficient, even if they don't destroy all of them. But I like the 43 archers more than the 35 cav archers, unless the cav archers can use their mobility and raid. Knights now coming into the middle just to try and neutralize that Sacred Site. As the Muslim is retreating once again, he could try to isolate those knights and take a fight against them, as long as those archers are not supporting those knights. And I think that's the plan. What you should do if you're the Muslim is loop around and try to hit them from behind. But once again, that hidden scout for RecoN is just able to see all of those forces passing by. That's such a big thing here. In general, we could say that his RecoN is very, very good, because those hidden scouts give him so much information. Looks like the cav archers will be split into groups of like 10 or so. And this is gonna be where problems could begin for RecoN. He's got a Veteran Knights upgrade in, he's gonna have Veteran Archers soon. But keeping track of 2 groups of cav archers could be challenging here. 81 villagers versus 62. Army numbers rather close. If you look at the income per minute though, the Muslim is leading in every category. That's mostly because of those 5 relics worth of passive gold income. Horse Archers now moving up, as we do have RecoN retreating into the safety of those towers. A lot of scouts on the battlefield for the Muslim, and they help a lot because they absorb archer fire. And you see Horse Archers now focusing down the knights. At this point, those scouts are a pure meat shield over here for the Muslim. Quite a lot of archers firing from behind though with veteran upgrades, so you gotta be careful over here for your red player not to overextend, because once those archers close the distance, they can take down those horse archers quite easily. As I said, the archers actually trade quite cost effectively against the horse archers. It's much easier to replenish the foot archers compared to the horse archers, and that's exactly what we're seeing. I think it's an overextension from the Muslim. Horse archers are powerful, but they can't win a straight up fight against archers. Looks like the Muslim is gonna get pushed back, and if this game is lost, then it's going to come down to this fight. And I said this before, I think he needed some knights to soak up the arrow fire. If he had like 10 knights in this battle, he wins it. So, looking at those horse archers, they still have good numbers, so they can start to come into the raid, but that was a lot of resources down the drain here for the Muslim. Lost so many cav archers in that fight. 2 villagers go down over here, nice little swoop from DeMusliM. 83 villagers currently for RecoN. 74 for DeMusliM, so he's catching up. RecoN is coming in with the Vos, though. I love that. He wants to limit the movement of those horse archers. Warrior monks are being focused down here by RecoN. Smart move to negate all that buff. Quite a lot of warrior monks on the battlefield, though. And it looks like DeMusliM is once again coming in. Still no upgrades, or still no knights, excuse me, for Mr. Muslim over here. So, once again, that big mass of archers will be difficult to deal with without that. A mangonel could also help quite a bit. Behind this one, we do have 2 sacred sites and 5 relics, though, for the Muslims. So, if you look at his resource income, that's by far the better in this game. So, at this point, the Muslim doesn't need to overextend. He just needs to make sure that his opponent is stuck inside his base. At some point, RecoN is going to run out of gold inside his base. In fact, I think he already did. No, he still has 18 on gold, but it's all the way on the right side over here. And also over here with the defensive keep nearby. But at some point, RecoN is going to have to move towards that big gold mine out here. So, let's look at the current resources. Small difference between the two players. Currently 2 TCs for the Muslim and also 2 TCs for RecoN. 91 versus 82 villagers, but of course the Muslim has 2 sacred sites and he's got 5 relics working for him. I think that he needs to make a tech switch though, because now those cav archers, they won't be able to take a straight up fight against those archers, and that archer force is just growing and growing. The Muslim seems to be very, very resilient or very, very stubborn, just going for all those cav archers. CA are powerful, but they won't win an even resource fight against archers when the upgrades are similar. Now, this is one of the other things that you could do. Just start going for the sacred sites. Start mining stone, drop keeps over here. You see, one archer will neutralize the one on the north, but the one on the south will be captured by the Muslims. So he can sort of keep 2 sacred sites under his control right now. Meanwhile, some more Vos coming up here for RecoN, as the Muslim is coming in. If he can hit that gold mine, that would be massive, and RecoN's archers are sort of mispositioned. Villagers will be pulled back to the castle over here, but right now, with all those archers being on the left side, if the Muslim makes a commitment to this one, he could kill a lot. A lot of farmers out here, and a lot of gold miners. Looks like this moment, the Muslim is not going in, and his hesitation might cost him some valuable seconds, because those archers are now getting back. Retreat being called here by RecoN. There is still a good chance to do damage here for the Muslim, especially on that gold mine. He sees the gold, but it looks like he no longer wants to push because he sees the archers coming back. One sacred site in the middle is being neutralized. Looking at the Muslim, he's piling up resources for what could be Imperial Age potentially. Still, he needs something against those archers. Even just 1 or 2 mangonels could be immensely helpful over here. Full cav archers won't crack it against knights and archers here. Meanwhile, we got some knights coming into raid here from RecoN. Didn't really accomplish much. And look at that. It's another batch of like 20 horse archers moving forward. Obviously, warrior monks help in many ways over here. Having quite a lot of healing power over here, of course. And their combat boost is also quite significant. Holy palisade walls. The Muslim isn't messing around. He's like, just go for 4 palisades. He knows exactly he's sitting on 5 relics, so that's gonna be massive. And this is the mangonel push that I was waiting for. He didn't push up 1 mangonel, he didn't push up 2 mangonels. He's gonna be like, that is 5 mangonels for me, ladies and gentlemen. And now that is gonna be difficult, if not impossible, for RecoN to fight against. He's got some nice to snap mangonels with, but good luck dealing with 5 before your archers get absolutely annihilated. Oh boy. I feel like this is a decisive fight coming in here soon. Tower is just going to evaporate with 5 villagers in them going down as well. And I would love to see those mangonels actually setting up close to those berries, simply because that way it would be difficult for the knights to get a good surround. You see that RecoN is trying to retreat, forcing his opponent to dive deeper and deeper into his base as a springboard pops out. Mangonel is not really looking right now, but they are getting some nice shots in here, and I feel like even if those archers are just forced back over here, that might be enough for the Muslim. He's taking down the Springald with the scouts. Horse archers will be able to focus down the majority of the knights, and the archers are just not a factor in this fight right now. That's exactly what the Muslim needs. Just take one fight where the archers aren't present. A lot of scouts are also in here. You see that he's popping out scouts like there is no tomorrow. They'll be a very, very cheap throwaway unit that absorbs arrow fire, and it's also a high torch damage unit, so it's very, very good at burning down siege weapons. And it very much seems like this is game here, because the Muslim is at 78 army, it's only 26 for RecoN, and the Muslim could move into the quarterfinals. He was a player to watch before the tournament, simply because he's been grinding the game a lot, and he's a very skilled player in general, but I don't think that a lot of people would have expected him to make it to the quarterfinals. As things stand, he is the one that moves into the quarterfinals, because RecoN is down to 3 armies, so from this point on, this is just a smorgasbord of slaughter for the Muslim over here. RecoN taps out, and with that, the Muslim moves into the quarterfinals tomorrow. Congratulations! Very, very clean and decisive gameplay. There were some weird moments where it felt like he wasn't really sure what he wants to do with that game, but in general, it was a pretty clean gameplay. His opponent actually banned Mongols, so that allowed the Muslim to use up the Rus here, and in the end, if we just look at this, you see, he lost significant numbers over here, but it didn't matter because he had a very, very powerful economy behind this one. It is, in the end, 4,000 more food, 1,000 more gold, and 4,000 more wood as well. Very, very nice game here from the Muslim.